And today on America's Mom, we have Sonia Shaw and Loud Majority Cabinet with us.
Seen it all change, and I know that for you. Tell me not to wait too long. I don't gotta wait when I make.
All right, welcome back to America's Mom. We've got a packed schedule today, so we're going to jump right into it. This past week, I sat down with Sonia Shaw because here on America's Mom, we are telling the stories that matter the most to you, the things that are affecting our children, policies that are hurting our families, our ability to self-govern. I'm Sharona with America's Mom. I can't wait to bring this interview to you guys because Sonia Shaw is literally the voice for the masses, and she is joining us right now. Well, everybody's got their eyes over on California. I guess they have decided they are not going to surrender to communist rule, and they're certainly not going to give up their parent rights. We've had school board president Sonia Shaw from Chino County on before, but wow, the fire has really heated up on her, and everything that's happening there is for America to see, because we need to take a lesson from Sonia Shaw and her board members on how to deal with communist bullies. Take a look at this. It's gonna let me play. There we go.
Bonta is suing the Chino Valley School District over a policy which requires parents to be notified if their child openly identifies as transgender.
Chino Hills Unified School District has violated and trampled on the civil rights and constitutional rights and privacy protections of children. They've gone out of their way to do it. But we told them it was a violation. They did it anyway. They are intent on it. And these are folks who like to claim they're law-abiding, and you need to follow the rule of law. There are laws that protect children's rights. They are violating those rights.
The school board.
Wow. You know, Sonia, talk to me a little bit about this for just a moment. Thank you for being back with us on America's Mom. I tell you what, this seems pretty outrageous to me. You are trampling on parents' rights. Aren't you a parent?
Yeah. Of two beautiful young ladies. Yeah, I am a parent. And I find it disappointing. He's talking about students' rights and privacy. Students' rights and privacy were put in place to keep students protected from government bullies as himself, never their parents. So he's trying to make new law and enforce it when he can't even enforce our regular laws over here that are already in place. We have criminals walking free, people doing smash and grabs, criminals not even being held accountable, so they know that there is nothing that will keep them from doing it again. It's embarrassing what he's doing.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think he's giving you guys so much attention with everything you just laid out? Crime is at an all-time high in the state of California. Homicides, carjackings, murders, everything, homelessness. I mean, you've got the zombie plague going on out there, and yet he chooses, the Attorney General of the state of California chooses to sue you, go after you, to shut you down for supposedly violating children's rights.
Yeah, because I call them the political cartel of Newsom, Bonta, and Thurman. They're all in it. They push an agenda, and what we did is push policy forward and approved it that actually goes against their agenda, and they're upset. And I think it's very clear he's trying to make us an example, but he picked the wrong school district to bully, because we're not going to back down. And I think we made that very evident.
So we are looking to you as an example. I mean, truly, you have buckled, tripled, I mean, quadrupled was so crazy. I have no idea how we just got muted. Anyway, to have Sonia Shaw stand up and say, this is what we're going to do, this is the path we're taking, the attorney general out of nowhere, and just a reminder, he never even notified the school district. So, all of you in California, all of you 80% of parents who agree that parents should be notified about these very important, significant things I laid out: bullying, potential socially transitioning, medically transitioning, seeking mental health care or any physical care whatsoever, seeking prescriptive needs, all those things should be brought to parents, right? Well, that's over 80% of the parents in California that agree with that. And yet the attorney general did not alert the board of Chino County that they were being sued. They didn't even know. They found out through the media. Don't you think that's significant enough that one elected official would make sure that the other elected official had an opportunity to respond before lawfare was waged against them? Why do they want so badly to sexualize, groom, and separate these children from their parents. What's the deal, AG? Why do you want so badly to separate these children from their parents? This is the question every American in this country should be asking. We watched during Pride Month 1, Pride Month 2, and apparently we're on Pride Month 3 right now. In Texas, anyway. If you live in Austin, you know that the school district ISD actually transported children just last month to a pride parade in the end of August, which is supposed to be against the law. Starting September 1st, Texas has adopted they're not messing around. There will be no policy whatsoever that allows for children to be in the presence of drag queens. Essentially, I think that means pride parades, because we see a lot of that going on. Any kind of sexual interaction with children will be prosecuted, apparently, now in the state of Texas. But in California, that is still not the case. And we have to just keep asking ourselves, why? Why do they want our children so badly? This past week, we had Erin Lee on. She's a mother out of Colorado whose child was subjected to what she thought was just an after-school art class. How many of you guys have sent your kids to these after-school programs thinking, you know what? This is going to be so great. They're going to make some friends. They're going to meet some people like them, only to find out that a very confused man parading as a woman who has a sidekick who supports men parading as women has utterly and completely confused your child. Well, that's exactly what happened to Erin and her child. And it wasn't until just this past year, almost 2 years later, that other parents put the pieces together. Can you imagine being those parents where for 2 years you've thought you're just a horrible parent? You can't figure out why your child has now become suicidal. You can't figure out why they don't know their own gender, why they're so depressed, so upset, so socially anxious, all to find out it stems from this one encounter. And that's what we've been talking about. It's one encounter that these people had, not multiple, not, a year's worth of indoctrination. One simple 1 hour session with someone who was trained in indoctrination and really preaching and promoting this ideology, because after all, it is a religion, right? This is a religion. This is what's happening in America. And I'm going to share this with you guys here. Just one moment. I'm going to share with you one more word here from Sonia, because I think this is just so important. And I want you guys to get the full gist of what's happening here and why it's happening. It's happening because the left, the Marxists, are after your children. The only way that they continue to progress and grow, because they don't have children of their own, the only way they progress and grow is to go after your children. So bear with me for just one moment. I want to make sure that you catch the fullness, because for whatever reason, ours wasn't working. I don't know what was going on there, but we're going to make sure to hear exactly what's going on here with Sonia's story, because it's so critical to the rest of the country. So take a listen here.
Rights is turning into a war at a California school district. Attorney General Rob Bonta is suing the Chino Valley Unified School District for a policy requiring teachers to tell parents if their children want to identify as a different gender at school and use a different bathroom at school. We're in court challenging Chino Valley Unified's forced outing policy for wrongfully and unconstitutionally discriminating against and violating the privacy rights of LGBTQ plus students. Chino Valley School Board President Sonia Shaw joins me now. Sonia, welcome back. You've been the voice for parents at Chino Valley Unified. What's your response to the AG and his lawsuit?
I'm not exactly shocked at his aggressive stance. And I think it's another ploy to kind of scare other districts, because he knows that, we're about to have other districts all over California adopt the same policy. My response to him is, we're not going to back down. We're not scared of his tactics. We're getting used to the government bullies and all the different ploys that they're throwing at us. We will stand in the gap to protect our children. And I think he is the one, along with the political cartel of Newsom and Thurman, that pose a danger to our children. He's sending the message to California parents that he thinks they have a responsibility and a right over the children. And I think it's the wrong message. I think he just keeps giving us gifts on where their priorities are. We have criminals, again, walking free, and yet he's sending 8 to 9 attorneys to harass our good and amazing staff.
You've talked to parents out there. You've been on the ground talking to both sides. What do parents tell you? Do they not want this kind of transparency?
Absolutely. As a parent advocate prior to taking the seat, and as a school board president, and even as a candidate, that was the number one thing on the list. We don't want secrets. We're watching the bills in Sacramento. They have waged a war on parents. And to me, this policy put safeguards in place that were needed.
Okay, so the AG also said that this policy endangers students who do not have an accepting family. What's your response to this safety and privacy argument that he's making?
Okay, so my thing, a couple points. A parent has every right at any moment to pull any documents of their child. They also have a right to show up in the classroom. So is he okay with the parent finding out through the teacher calling the child another name, or maybe through social media? So to me, when he says that the parents are dangerous, first of all, he's assuming something that I think is a dangerous assumption. Parents want to pull their kids in closer when they're experiencing anything. I mean, to just assume it off the back, who is he? And not only that, this policy will put safeguards in place for children who are not safe at home, because one of the questions we ask is, do your parents know? And if not, why not? If the child is saying that they're beat or they're going to get killed, then we all know as mandated reporters, that is going to get the child in the process of getting to safety, let alone he just wants to send these children back home into what he's calling a dangerous home every day. Make it make sense. I mean, he's also saying that these children and students are at a higher risk for discrimination. We all know with discrimination and Title IX claims, one of the first things you do is notify the parents. So are we going to change the law on that as well? The privacy of children was never in place in our Constitution. It was actually put in place to keep privacy from people like him, the government and third parties, not the parents. So he's
It's absolutely brilliant and spot on. She's exactly right. These policies are put in place to protect us from the government, not to protect our children from us, we the parents. There are so many stories about this. And in fact, this next week, we're going to have a pre-recorded interview with someone that we just sat down with. You will not believe the lengths that the the teachers union and associations will go to in order to protect themselves from you, the parents, so that you don't know exactly what is going on. I just don't know that the time that we're living in really warrants us to be able to be passive about this anymore. The approach that Sonia Shaw has taken, I wanted to have this on so that all of you in whatever school district you're in, and I tell you, the tempers are flaring again right now. And the biggest reason why is because ESSER funds, you all remember ESSER funds? They are still in effect. They still effectively require school districts to keep COVID policies around. It's the last leg of the money that the federal government used to bribe all of our school districts. It's still going, and it's slated to go up until 2025. This is what we're dealing with. And this is why the attorney general of such a big state like California is going after a little mother from a school district, a small school district of Chino, and effectively trying to use lawfare to shut down those efforts as a warning and a signal to everyone else. You better not do this because money depends on this. And I guess we know this, but it always does go back to go and follow the dollar, figure out where the money's coming from, and you'll find all the whys. And once you know motive, you really know everything. If the motive is to get as much money as possible, well, this is definitely one of those things that they have been told they're going to do. They're going to promote equity and inclusion. They're going to promote the LGBTQIA comprehensive sex education. They're going to promote transgender ideology. And even though to us, those are under the same exact banner, apparently to the government, it's not. Everything goes back to money. So let's kind of take a look at that for just a minute. We've done a lot of videos on ESSER funds and on what was happening with the quote COVID money during the big pandemic. Government was literally blackmailing and bribing schools with dollars. Now, early on, we figured this out and we went to our school board, we went to our superintendent and said, please do not take the money. Don't take the money because you're selling our children. Well, of course, we were gaslit. We were told, we don't know what you're talking about. They're not telling us we have to do anything, only to Cora the exact documents that they received. It was a packet. It was a questionnaire packet they received from the NEA and from the federal government, and they had to write out what they were willing to do. They had standards. They had to pick some of these boxes that said, I will teach this. We will teach this. We will implement this. We will use the money for this. And the biggest factor was, of course, critical theory, social emotional learning, comprehensive sex education, equity, diversity, training, all those big trigger words that you've all heard a million times now, but that's exactly what they agreed to do. So here we are, many of us thinking this is over, it's done with, it's 2023. We're almost, you guys, we're almost to 2024 and we are still dealing with this nonsense. Well, guess what? You have a whole nother year of it. Why? Well, ESSER funds, federal funding. This was a pre-planned move. It was a way to keep everybody shut down, locked up. They couldn't do what was in the best interest of the children. Everything would be failing. We're creating what? We're creating hopelessness, despair, depression, depravity for a lot of people. I mean, the cases of adults offending on children has really climbed. I mean, I can't scroll through when I just do a quick Google search on teachers in trouble for assaults on children. I mean, it's a list long, a mile long, and it just keeps going. And the depravity is even sunk to just unbelievable levels that I never ever imagined here in America. And it's often. It's not just once or twice here and there. It's often. It's in private schools. It's in public schools. When we're masking up children, which another Washington, D.C. school district is doing even today as we speak, they're requiring children to start masking again in their school district. And you're going to find that it is because there is money attached to that. These are the policies they're going to implement. And I mean, I guess we can point out the obvious thing in the room. The elephant in the room is elections are right around the corner. There are many down ballot elections happening in November of this year that are going to be very significant in each state, that are going to push forward mandates, that are going to push forward policies that hurt you, hurt your family, and everyone has to start showing up just the same way Sonia Shaw did. She was not political before, and I know many of you have not been. This has been an incredible time in all of our lives where for the first time, we recognize we really have an obligation. We have a duty. We've got to stand up for what we say we believe in, because the elected officials, the people we thought we put in office to oversee our best interests, are not doing that. They're ineffective at best. We don't even want to talk about at worst what's happening here, but at best, they're ineffective. So what do? We start preparing now for the upcoming elections. Now, obviously, you guys, this leads us straight into the most upsetting topic of all, the one nobody really wants to talk about because it feels like it's impossible to really do something about, except there's been too many people now who are proving otherwise. You can have an impact, you can make a difference, and we have to take charge today, because as they start to push this narrative and we start seeing the environment shift, seeing people at the grocery store with masks on, you're hearing all of these little commercials on all, I mean, I'm hearing them everywhere on the radio, on my little, music that I play in the morning, Spotify, Pandora, whatever. They're all starting to play commercials on getting your COVID-19 shot again. Well, I thought, it's just crazy to me, but I thought we just had a whole book come out, the Pfizer documents, that demonstrated that these shots are not safe. They always knew they weren't safe, and they were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not millions and millions of people, or certainly the impairment of millions and millions of people. And yet I'm hearing ads from local clinics saying, come in for your COVID-19 shot. Literally just this past week, I was sitting in a clinic and I heard it come over the intercom. I saw multiple children being brought in to get their quote COVID-19 and flu shot at the same time. I mean, do you know how hard it is just to sit there and watch that happen and not want to just jump out of my seat and say, what are you doing? Please don't do this. And I probably should have. To be honest, I probably should have just jumped up and said, hey, you should not do this. I guess I'll remember that for next time. So you take inventory. You be the one that does this coming up next. You guys, this is the time we have to get active. So as we start to see this energy shift around us, we see masks. We're hearing about the shots again. What do? We start seeing companies coming down with mandates. Literally, businesses are already saying, from Colorado, I just got a text this morning saying, hey, my employer has said if the federal government brings back masks, we are going to be mandated to wear them again. It's starting all over again. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to be a Sonia Shaw? I did a whole video on her only because it's so powerful to see a regular person know her rights, step into her authority and say, no, we will not comply. What are you going to do when they tell you you cannot have your job anymore? So many people gave up everything to stand in the gap and do what's right. Are you going to be counted among them this time? Are you going to do what is in the best interest of your children's future? And yes, I believe do what is in the best interest of you, but freedom ultimately is in the best interest of you and everyone in this great country. We cannot comply just to get along and to salvage a few crumbs. Eventually, there will be nothing left. That's the road, that's the direction they're taking us down. It is a road to poverty. And that's all there is to it. This is a road that leads us all to eating bugs, owning nothing, and you will love it, apparently. Now, back to our schools for just a moment, because that really is where my heart is. We're seeing a lot of upsetting stuff happening in our school districts once again, and we need to shine a light on this. Yesterday morning, I talked about, just on a quick live on our Facebook page, I talked about a news story breaking out of Jefferson County. In Jefferson County, teachers there were persuaded, we'll just put it that way, they were persuaded and encouraged to lie to parents. See, it's actually not legal for teachers to be giving your children surveys or questionnaires without you, the parent, having the opportunity to opt out of that first, meaning you must be informed that it's happening and you can have the option to opt out. Well, because of the lawsuits that are waging in the state of Colorado and across the country due to this underhanded kind of behavior by teachers and administrators, they said in Colorado, in Jefferson County School District, hey, just stay away from the surveys for now. We don't want to get involved in this. There's too much lawfare going on or lawsuits happening right now. Let's just not do any of it right now. Do you want to know what the teachers union did? The teachers union of Colorado told the teachers in Jefferson County School District to use paper because there, quote, wouldn't be a FOIA trail. And on that paper, take notes after your student takes the questionnaire, and then make sure you destroy the questionnaires so you don't get caught. That is the Teachers Union of Colorado. And what is their virtue signal? Transgender. They are saying they're there to protect the right of students to protect their own bodily autonomy. Yes, you heard me right. They coach teachers to lie to their administrators, to their principals, and to parents in order to protect the outing of children. You know, if I don't need to tell you anymore to show you how upside down this world is, but I want you to understand at the end of the day, it boils down to you and me and what we are willing to do to preserve this tree of liberty. It really is your call. It's my call. Every day we get to decide what we're going to do to preserve the tree of liberty and make sure we have some form, some semblance of freedom for the future. And as elections are ramping up, we really need every single person on deck. Everyone needs to be involved. We are not going to allow them to steal another election. I want to encourage everybody right now, as soon as we're done, we have 2 more minutes before our show wraps up today. After that 2 minutes is over, I want everyone to go to Lindell, that's 2 L's, offensefund.org. Go sign up so that you make sure you're getting the email every single day. And then there's a video that we're going to be playing there about the newest tool to secure our elections. I want every single person to watch this video to understand the pathway forward, what we are doing to secure our American elections, because they don't belong to the secretaries of state. They don't belong to your local clerk. They don't belong to the election officials. Elections belong to us, to we the people, to you and I. It's our duty to protect those elections, to defend those elections, and make sure that we are having honest and transparent elections. When our elected representatives fail us and they no longer can perform the duties they espouse to us, that they are determined to do by the Constitution and by state law, well, then it's time to take more fervent action, always within the law, always with a calm and disciplined spirit. But nonetheless, we have to take action for our own elections and the own protection of our future. You guys, that's where we're at in America right now. There's no longer just that 1% who's going to run everything. Are you going to allow it? Because I know I'm not going to allow it. When I hear stories like Sonia Shaw and Aaron Lee and so many other incredible parents who have had horrific experiences because elected officials made policies that injured their children, took away their ability to provide for their children, and then even criminalized them, the parent. Oh, yeah, that's happening too. Parents who will not conform to the mass psychosis of their child, thinking they're the opposite gender, can now have their children taken away from them. That is the America we're living in right now, and it is our future if we are not activated. I want to thank you guys for being with us today. I'm so grateful for Sonia Shaw. We're going to give you an update. Go to our Facebook. We'll be updating you to tell you exactly what happened with the Attorney General and the judge today. As soon as we know, you will know, because this is a really important case. This determines whether or not you really have the right to be the parent, the first one, the first responder, the one who is ultimately responsible for your child. If the government truly thinks that they can strip you of your right to parent your own child, to know the intimate details of what's happening with the child that God has given to you to parent, we are in big trouble if that really is the direction that this judge goes down. So stay tuned with us today. We'll be coming back with you with a live report of what exactly happened in Chino County with Sonia Shaw and the school board there, along with the Attorney General. This is a vital case to be watching. And now all of you can go to LindellOffenseFund.org. Go sign up. Go be a part of our efforts today. We need to save our country, folks. It's now or never. Remember, all that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do absolutely nothing. Thank you for being with us today on America's Mom.